What are my view on the tariffs? I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. I think that it's massively destabilizing. I know people, I've had friends of mine contact me and they've said like, yeah, bro, like our company is like way worse. Like we have this massive issue. We're thinking about doing layoffs, right? So like I've had people tell me like that they're really bad.
Markets are open and you might want to turn away or maybe not. It's 2 days now. The news is tough out there now with the tariff announcement. Already in 5 minutes of trading, we're off about 2.5% for the Dow 30. So we're below 40,000 now for the first time in some time. Say about a year. On the broad.
It is not unthinkable to me that this number might be a 2 within a year. I think it could go down by that much.
Market, the S&P 500 trading lower about 2.5 percentage points.
I don't think it will, by the way. Like, in my opinion, I think that a lot of these tariffs are just brinkmanship, and it's not actually something that's going to happen in the long term. I think that a lot of people are expecting Trump to use these tariffs as negotiating chips and not necessarily like a solid foundation for policy. That's the reason, and like that's what I think people are thinking. But if he does keep them, I could see it going down substantially.
The NASDAQ is down even more at 3%. So in the past 30 minutes, the president, who is now in Florida at Doral for the LIVE event, he posted this. So the many investors coming to the United States and investing massive amounts of money, my policies will never change. This is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before. I will remind you that China announced its retaliatory tariffs around 5 a.m. Eastern time today to the tune of 35% for American products going into China.
So 34,
so that was the latest move. We'll see how it bounces back and forth throughout the day and into the weekend as we move forward. All right, this from last night, Air Force One. Roll it.
What we have is we have a set of tariffs based on what they've been charging us. That's reciprocal. And those tariffs have come in and every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat.
President Trump.
Yep, that's right. And the only problem is people think he's putting himself in the driver's seat and then driving directly into a wall. That's the issue. And now, is that wall the Great Wall of China? We're going to find out.
Somewhat downplaying the initial market reaction to his tariff plan. He's betting Americans will tolerate the short-term downturn if it means restoring manufacturing here in the U.S. Free Press columnist Batya Sargon writes that with Trump's Liberation Day plan, he's delivering on one of his campaign promises. She is our guest now. I'm sorry about that, but your name is unusual, but people are going to get to know you. You wrote a column that is getting a lot of attention. It said this: how did he steal the working class from the Democrats? Well, in the most obvious way, by purloining their pro-labor agenda. He has
the reason why is because you can't have a you can't have a party of people who constantly think that and talk down to voters. And I think this is the way that a lot of I think working class people believe, is that they view Democrats as ivory tower intellectuals that add basically no value to society. Whereas in a lot of cases, these are people that have physical labor jobs and things that, provide some sort of tangible effect to society. And so when they're being talked down to by some graphic artist that, uses Photoshop for a living to make pretty pictures, and they get told, learn to code from this person, they're not going to appreciate that at all. You think they're smarter than yeah, you think you're smarter than me? Exactly. That's exactly the way they feel.
Forced the border and is now instituting widespread tariffs, implementing a broad protectionist agenda committed to reshoring manufacturing and giving the working class a boost, the likes of which we haven't seen since the New Deal. Tell me about your column and the reaction to it.
Do you know, it's so amazing. This morning on one of the liberal channels, I saw a Democrat congressman, and he was just sitting there saying, I have no idea why President Trump is doing this. They simply cannot understand why he is implementing the tariffs, because the answer.
Well, the thing is, if you voted for Trump, this is very important. If you voted for Trump and you're upset about these tariffs, you kicked yourself in the dick. He said he was going to do this the entire time. He said, guys, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, guys. Guys, guess what I'm going to do? Boys, have you heard about my favorite word? So yeah, seriously. So anybody who's voted for Trump, who's complaining about these tariffs, you are so dumb. He said this from the beginning. This is one of the only things Trump has been consistent on even. You can look at interviews from Trump in 1980, and he's talking about tariffs. Really? He's talking about even then.
Answer is simple. He is choosing Main Street over Wall Street. He has chosen to bet on the American working class instead of on the rich elites.
That's right. That's exactly it. And that's the reason why you see so many of these people on social media that are unhappy about it. It's because they're the ones that have a bunch of money in the lawsuit. Or sorry, in the stock market. And I don't know why I said lawsuit. And I think they're permanent. He's talking about abolishing income tax under $150,000. Yes. And this is like almost all identity politics is, in my opinion, a proxy for class warfare. And I think that this is one of the first examples that you can really see of like this class warfare taking into effect. And I think that there are a lot of people that are in like the Trump like Republican Party that are actually extremely far left with their economic policy, but only for Americans. Like basically, they have no problem giving a lot of money to other people in America. They just don't want it going to Mexico. And you're seeing these people come forward now. America first. Exactly. America first. I love this. Yes. And so that's the big difference.
This is astonishing because for 60 years, presidents on both sides of the aisle have sided with the rich over the hardest working Americans, the American working class.
That's exactly it. And I think that's the way people have seen it. And this is just a good little example. The wealthiest top 10% of households own over 85% of corporate stock. This is again what I was saying. Is people are fighting back against this. And so, yeah, that's, well, no shit. Yeah, exactly. Isn't it funny how that works? It is.
And, you know, I used to have the Trump derangement syndrome. You know, I started out as a lefty, a liberal. I really couldn't understand the draw people had to this president. But over time, I've come to see that he is simply the inheritor of the values that used to define the Democrats because they used to be the party of labor.
Was there a
Trump is the perfect embodiment of the id of the American working class. And he works in that behavior, in that way. And I think that's why he's so successful. That's why you have all of these hicks and hillbillies that are voting for a guy that was born a multi-fucking millionaire. And they can relate more to him. It's because he knows how to tap into that. He bankrupted 3 casinos. Yeah, I don't. What's your point? Like that he's bad at business? I don't think that doesn't have anything to do with it. You're 100% right, man. Yeah, that's what it is. What about all the businesses he's ruined? I mean, what about it? What's the point? I don't even get it. What do you like? Okay, like that's not even what's being discussed.
A single moment that changed you?
So the cracks came a little at a time and then all at once. You know, the first was my rabbi, who's the best person I know, told me that he loved Trump. And I suddenly realized, well, I guess not every person who voted for him is a racist. Then I was doing a lot of reporting from the South on American polarization. And what I found was a lot more united Americans than divided us, even in this moment. It was really the elites who were polarized, but average Americans were very united. And then the kicker was in 2018, I saw a Yale study. And in this Yale study, it found that there was...
This is again what I was saying, is that average people do see it this way. They do look at it this way, and they think to themselves, like, okay, well, a lot of people like feel like outsourcing and like offshoring different types of like just development and business. This has come, the perspective of offshoring business and outsourcing things to other countries. The perspective that the average American has is that this has come at the expense of the worker and to the benefit of the, top 1%. People felt it. Well, regardless of like what you like, oh, it did, it didn't. That's not the point. This is what people think. I've been saying this shit for like a decade. A lot of people have been saying this for a very long time. Yeah, it's a very, very common line of reasoning.
Difference between how white liberals and white conservatives talk to Black and Hispanic Americans. And here was the difference. White liberals dumb down their vocabulary.
They don't even know what the word computer is.
When they're talking to Black or Hispanic people,
Also,
and white conservatives don't do that. They use a lower level of vocabulary. It's called presenting lower competence. They use smaller words when they're talking to Blacks and Hispanics than they do when they're talking to white people. This is white liberals. But white conservatives don't do that. And I remember looking at this and thinking, and we, the liberals, call them the racists? This is the most racist thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
And it was an indictment of the entire...
They don't know where the DMV is. How can you expect them to get an ID? They can't find a DMV.
Progressive worldview, which is based on this idea that minorities require the largesse and the beneficence of white progressives in order to thrive. And that was really a moment where
the reason why they have that thinking is because it puts them in the virtuous position that they want to be in. It's not because it's true. It's simply because their worldview is built around them being the savior so they can feel good about themselves.
Realized, wow, there's
That's
something
the reason.
really wrong with the left as it is, and came to see that it was President Trump who wanted to implement agenda items that would restore dignity to working class Americans. That's what this entire agenda is about. That's what these tariffs are about.
And so do you think that others are coming around to this opinion? Like, you obviously you hear about feedback.
Yeah, you're not going to get people that are working class to think that these tariffs are bad if you tell them that, well, stocks are going down. They don't care about stocks. They care about like groceries. They don't have stocks.
From a lot of people.
So the response to my Free Press column has been overwhelming. And I actually wanted to ask you, Dana, why do you think that is? Why do you think that this idea of a MAGA lefty is resonating so much with so many conservatives?
Well, I don't think it's that surprising.
Well, it's not at all. And this is at least, like for me, this is the way that at least I feel. Like I'm like very far left with economic policy. Like I'm universal basic income. I mean, can you be any more left than that? And so like, but I only want it for Americans. Like basically I want the government to only act in the best interest of like our citizens and never do anything that could compromise the well-being of our citizens for the best interests of other citizens and other people in other countries. So like no migrants, no unnecessary immigration, no foreign payments, no foreign aid, get rid of all of that and make sure that we're getting, you know, domestic aid and helping those people, right? It should be that. And that's the way that I feel. That's my value system. What is an American? A citizen of America. So a person who lives in America, who is a citizen of the country that can legally vote. So if you've come here on a green card, you're not really an American. If you've come here illegally, you're not really an American. If you're visiting, you're not really an American. What I'm talking about are people that are citizens of the country. Yeah, kids aren't American? What? I mean, kids, of course, kids would be citizens. What do you mean? All countries should be like that? Said, yeah, the fact you had to ask that question. Yeah, Chatter is an American? Yeah, basically, right? Oh, you said vote? Well, yeah, it's a collection of things.
Because we are living through a political realignment. And when you go through a realignment, it takes, 10 to 15, 20 years for it to happen. And so to me, I think it's just maybe a little bit of the natural order of things. And partly because I don't think it's that presidents didn't care about the working class. I do think a lot of it had to do with identity politics and the woke liberalism and also trying to take rights away from parents. And that has been a big issue. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. You have 2 cents?
You need to write a piece for the Free Press. But you wear your MAGA lefty label now with pride.
I do.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you guys so much.
Interesting perspective.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's pretty much the way that a lot of people feel. And, again, arguing from the perspective of like, oh, taxes are really high or something like that. Stocks are down. Oh, like people don't give a shit about that. They're not going to care about that one way or another because they don't have stocks in a lot of cases. The prices of everything, specifically groceries, are going to go up like 2x. We'll have to wait and see. I think so. I think there's a good chance that could happen. Yeah, it could go up a lot. It's tougher than straw manning. Building up your opponent's argument to make it as strong as possible, the better than they can. Oh, so I'm defending it. Well, I'm not really defending it or not. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs. I mean, I'll say that the tariffs are massively destabilizing, and of course, people are really worried about them. And yeah, I mean, I can see why they're worried. I think it makes a lot of sense